you all take about a minute and a half or so to attempt the judo second question, just on your own, and then we'll talk about it and we can compare it against what the student wrote.
All right, so that was about a minute and a half. What do you all think of this one? Easy, hard? I think it's kind of hard. Why is it hard?
I guess it's typical language.
Yeah, I think the topic makes it more difficult than it would otherwise be. I think the italicized Latin for the prehistoric species, Australopithecus afarensis, I think is the way to say it. But anyway, that topic just makes it more difficult. I think there's a lot of extra language here, like diverse natural environments, prehistoric species related to early humans. They're being more wordy than I think they need to be. And so that's unfortunate, but we can boil it down to its essence. And my goal here is not just to walk through the logic of the question. I think the student actually did a pretty good job there. What they hand wrote here, not evolve, then not survive, survive, then evolve, they broke it down pretty well. And then they're seeing that the conclusion is different, the reasoning on which the author relies. They're separating out the two. So the first portion of the argument, if they did not evolve the ability to cope, then they could not have survived. So not evolve, not survive. The conclusion is this species, afarensis, evolved, but became extinct. So they're saying, therefore, the argument falls apart. Now, A, the student walked through it perfectly, I think. But if we look at the other choices, I think the other choices are particularly valuable here in what the student's doing. Choice B, the student's saying it's a distortion. The student is saying that the B is a distortion. C is a mischaracterization. D is incorrect because it's not logically related. E is tempting. So the student actually notes why they thought a particular choice was tempting, but still why it's ultimately wrong. Because it's not about cause and effect language, it's about the validity of the conditional in the evidence.
Can you talk about sufficient
Is necessary?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We can walk through the question a little bit. So I think the key that we want to extract from this question, they're saying if the species had not evolved the ability to cope, so not evolve, then would not have survived. That's their claim in the evidence. It's a given, the first sentence. Then they're going from that to the specifics about this species. We have this particular species, afarensis, that evolved, but did not survive. So we have, this is given, this is evidence. Then this is like their argument as a whole. The conclusion is specifically that the claim is false, meaning that they're saying this whole thing is incorrect. That's what they're saying. But of course, we should not be thinking that given evolve, not evolve, then not survive, that therefore this should be true. They're not logically equivalent. They're doing what's called a mistaken negation, which is a form of confusing necessary and sufficient conditions. Not evolving is the sufficient condition here, and they're taking it to be the necessary. And what you want to do is, for this evidence, what you could do, for example, is say, survive, then evolve. That would be a correct translation of the contrapositive, but this is an incorrect translation of the contrapositive. So A, choice A says, confuses the conditions being required for a given result to occur, meaning survival, for one with being sufficient for it to occur. So evolving is necessary to survive, and they're taking evolution to be sufficient in order for a species to survive. So I think that's where the logic in this argument, of course, is flawed, and A articulates it perfectly. Now, choice E, as the student said, was tempting because it uses this language. It uses the word necessary straight up. But look what it's actually saying specifically, though. Even if a condition caused a result to occur in one case, wouldn't necessarily cause it to occur in a similar case. There's no comparison between two different cases here, first off. They're just talking about this species' case, or their situation, disproving the entire theory overall.